everyone. My name is Noah Giberson, and I am 1/3 of Fax Machine, which is a show by and for people who are curious about everything, and especially the things that make them laugh. In each of our shows, we share the fascinating facts we've discovered and the larger stories behind them, concluding with a pub-style trivia quiz that, as we like to say, is loosely inspired by the theme, which, of course, this show is marine biology. With that, please help me welcome to the stage Jaida Elcock, Diana Lee, PhD, and Kyle Marian. Welcome everyone to Fax Machine C's Get Degrees. Jaida is wearing an inflatable shark costume. Not the first time that an inflatable animal costume has been attempted on this, but certainly the only successful time. A couple shows ago, Rob wore an inflatable centaur costume because for his it was a Halloween show, and his costume was the centaur for disease control. And he inflated it in the back, ran through the crowd, and by the time he got there, it was completely limp. Jaida, how are you doing in that? Do you want to get a mic?
Yeah, let's do that. Oh, hi.
Are you able to use the mic?
The squid was ready.
I feel wonderful, and it's actually quite cool in here, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
That's great. You have a little fan built into that. That's why it stays.
I am going to unzip it, though, because I look insane, and I'd like
All
to be able
right,
to see
let's
my
hear
face.
it for unzipping the shark costume. Woo. Incredible. That's exactly the dedication to inflation. Sorry. Anyway. So this is, as I said, Fax Machine C's Get Degrees. My name is Noah Giberson, and I am joined this time by not one, not two, as in previous shows, but instead 3 special guests. Shark scientist Jaida Elcock. Squid scientist Diana Lee, PhD. And scientist and comedian Kyle Marian. I also wanted to say at our last show, we also only had one doctor on the stage, despite the fact that Jaida and I are actually both PhD students. But originally, this show was going to be hosted by another person in our podcast, Rob, and the other third of Fax Machine is Em. Em is on a scheduled Fax Machine break. She is doing some fact-finding research. She's on a sabbatical from live shows. Rob was planning to host, but then he got COVID. I know. Everyone, don't worry. He is fine. He texted me before the show that he is phlegmy, but okay. And also, don't worry. I haven't seen Rob in weeks. People think because we have this show together, we're friends, but I've actually never met him in person. It's strange. This was going to be a big day for me. I was going to finally meet my idol. But this is, of course, a show about marine biology, and we're so lucky to have scientists and marine biologists and another, as Kyle says, recovering scientist, or what is it? Sorry.
My claim to fame is I'm waterproof.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But
Yeah.
a real-life scientist who maybe wasn't a marine biologist, but is going to tell us some really cool stuff about aquatic. We'll find out. But first I want to ask Jaida, what first drew you to study sharks?
Truth be told, I was terrified of sharks as a child. I was terrified to go in the water because I was like, I'm going to get eaten by a shark and die. And simply not an accurate statement. I'm here today. I've been in the ocean many times. I started to learn more about how misunderstood they are and how important they are for our ecosystems. And I was like, they're also pretty endangered. I feel like these guys need a little bit of help. And I was like, well, hey, I like science. I like the water. I got a lot of questions. Maybe I'll just do this as a career path. And so that's kind of how I got started. Basically just me being curious and tenacious.
Incredible.
I don't know.
Yeah, tenacious, I'd say. And did you grow up near the water or in the desert somewhere?
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much for that very subtle hint.
I think I might have known the answer to that.
I grew up in the middle of the desert. I lived in Phoenix, Arizona until I was 22. So nowhere near the ocean. And I was like, I'm going to go into sharks. And everyone's like, how are you going to make that work? And I was like, I have no fucking clue. And I did it anyway. So, your dreams can work out.
Yeah. So Diana, you are a squid scientist. How did that come to be?
Well, so this is a true story. In 11th grade, I went to a Shins concert. They're one of my favorite bands. Thank you, one Shins fan in the audience, yes. And they were selling band merch, and one of the shirts that they had this squid drawn on it, and I was just like, That's cool. I like that. But why do they look that way? I don't look that way. They look this way. And I just found it fascinating. And then in college, I was like, I'm really into cells. Let me study cells. I think so. And I took one cell class, and I was like, cells are so boring. You can't see them. You can't see what they're doing. No. And then I remembered I just thought squid were fascinating, and I took a marine biology class. It was a field class in Bermuda, and then I just thought I just literally think squid are so cool. I mean, I have 3 squid hats at home, and I didn't bring any of them, but Jaida brought me this squid hat, so thank you. Yeah, the entire reason is because I literally went to a Shins concert in 11th grade. I finished my entire PhD on squids, joined Twitter, tweeted at the Shins afterwards, and they never responded.
Wow.
So
Wow.
even after all that,
It's amazing.
That's just rude.
I know it's extremely rude, but I mean they're kind of dormant now, so maybe it's like
Wow. Making enemies. Fuck you, the Shins. You heard it here first on Fax Machine.
never invite them as guests. They don't deserve it.
They wouldn't come. So Kyle, you, again, as we sort of prefaced before, you are a self-branded former practicing scientist as well as a comedian.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the ocean?
Thank you for that question. I feel like this is a Miss Universe pageant level question.
Thank you.
I am
As
Filipino,
a former winner,
so,
I know the type, yeah.
I am Filipino, so I feel like I have a really close tie to the ocean because sometimes as an archipelago we have over 2,000 islands, and then sometimes we don't because of the ocean. So
I've laughed at that because it was a very good joke, and then I immediately felt really bad.
you'll feel worse if you don't do anything about climate change. So. Yeah.
I actually empathize with that because I grew up on a barrier island off the coast of Texas in a house that had stilts. And there were a couple of years where a hurricane just destroyed our stairs, and we had to have a ladder.
And that's just like the norm.
That's the norm, yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway.
I will say that I think my favorite thing about the ocean is that the Philippines and Indonesia have some of the most biodiverse rich reefs, and I feel bad for you that you don't regularly get to go swim and find Nemo. So yeah.
Well, that's awesome, and I'm really looking forward to hearing everything y'all have come to share tonight. And speaking of sharing things tonight, to share tonight's first story that, as we say, is loosely inspired by marine biology, though I suspect for a marine biologist it might be slightly less loosely inspired. Please welcome to the mic, Jaida Elcock.
Woo! Howdy, howdy, howdy. I knew at some point this was going to become a problem. You know what? I'm wearing pants, so this is fine. That's not weird.
Give it up for Jaida Elcock.
Thank you so much. I'm going to pretend I don't have a shark sitting around my ankles. Amazing. I was going to talk today about how, science never goes how you want it to, which is funny, but also truly devastating when you're a scientist and you're really trying to get data. So instead of being really sad, I decided let's shit all over the megalodon instead. I'm gonna talk about why the megalodon is objectively not the most interesting prehistoric shark. In fact, I find it quite boring. Now let's be real. Of course, the megalodon is super awesome. It is believed to be the largest fish to ever have existed and one of the largest carnivorous fishes. It got to lengths of 60 to 65 feet. That's really cool. Wow. Fully admit that. And they're dead, very extinct, for sure.
You mean when I watched the DVD that I bought from the bargain bin of my parents' grocery store called Mega Shark vs. Giant Octopus? That was not true.
I'm so sorry to crush your dreams. It was not accurate.
What could it have been accurate in the past?
I'm not gonna say no.
But it was a $5 DVD, and I trusted it.
Jaida wants to be in the sequel.
I do. No, so the reason that we know that this shark is extinct is because it was a shallow water coastal species. They were believed to have given birth in coastal waters. We don't see them anymore. If they were there, we would have figured that out by now. Again, they were huge. And to the argument of, what if they evolved to live in the deep sea, would no longer be the megalodon now, would it? Would have evolved into a completely different shark. So the Megalodon's dead. I'm so sorry to crush your hopes and dreams. Super gone. But it's fine because they were of average level of interesting, right?
It's brutal.
I mean, let's be real. Everyone's like, oh, it's like a giant great white shark. And I'm like, right. And the great white shark is average at best. Great is a little strong, right?
Just more average? What are you going to...
It's just bigger and therefore more average, right?
Right.
Their extinction probably had something to do with the Ice Age, which I think is really interesting. It was believed there were probably a lot of different things that went into it, like their nursery sites got destroyed when sea levels dropped because ice was forming at the poles, or their prey items were evolving to be able to go into colder regions that the shark couldn't handle because probably was an ectotherm, so it couldn't handle the cooling temperatures. Eventually, it just died out. It lived between 23 to about 3 million years ago, but it's super dead now, and I'm going to tell you about a shark that's way cooler.
I gotta say, Jaida, like, your energy right now is so Anna Delvey. Like, I feel if anyone watched it, she's just like, Megalodon is so broke ass. Not VIP. Thank you.
I'll take it. I'll pretend that I know who that is.
Also, it's Anna Delvey, and delve is another word for dive.
Oh.
So
I like that. You reached a little, but I'm here for
this
it.
is where we snip this out for the podcast.
I see. So yeah, here's a picture of me in a megalodon jaw. It's kind of cool. But again, cooler sharks. We have Stethecanthus.
Whoa.
This
Is
guy.
that a baby shark?
No, they were just really little.
They're
They
teeny
were so
baby.
cute. Okay, bigger is not always better. Look at how cute this thing is, right? It's adorable.
It comes with a travel size handle.
Exactly. So this shark was super cool, smaller than you'd expect it to be, right? It lived between 370 to about 345 million years ago. I think that they're awesome because they're also known as the anvil shark because they have this little weird-looking modified dorsal fin.
And a toupee.
And yeah, this weird patch of whatever the hell's going on right on their face, right? These guys were super cool, cooler than the Megalodon because, for obvious reasons, look at it. But it's believed that only the male had this weird anvil thing, which suggests, like, this sexual dimorphism suggests, like, mate attraction and, what is the word that I'm looking for? Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like a
Sexual selection.
Thank you, sexual selection. There we go. And that's really awesome. I think that that's a very unique thing. Not a lot of sharks have sexual dimorphism like that. And so I think that this is something that's very unique. And also, who doesn't love a little scruffy little patch of want to give it a pet right on its head? I mean, it's made of like basically modified teeth, so would for sure like slough off a layer or two of skin.
No.
But in my dreams, it's soft and you can just give it a little pat, right?
Love is pain.
Exactly. So that's Stethecanthus. I think they're super awesome. Stethecant
Does
go
it
wrong
have
with this.
eyes?
Hey.
Can't tell.
It does have eyes.
Okay.
They're just in a dark patch of the picture. It's fine. They've got eyes. They exist. So yeah, that was the first shark. I think that they're super awesome. The next one we're going to talk about is Edestis, which were, again, probably pretty huge, up to around 20 feet long. These guys lived, I believe, 306 to about 299 million years ago. And they had this really weird tooth situation going on that they looked like scissor teeth. And so they had like this row of teeth on the top and this row of teeth on the bottom, and they think they basically like thrashed kind of like a sawfish to get their prey, except sawfish went like this, and Edestis went like...
I will say between the head bashing now and the picture here, it just looks like such a fun shark.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I would party with this shark.
I
100%.
agree, absolutely. Go to a nice metal concert, this guy's got you. I mean, look out the row in front of them
Like,
for
literally-
sure. Might get sliced and diced a little, but
Killing it in the mosh pit.
Killer.
Literally
Killer.
killing. Yes.
That was a good one. I like that one. But yeah, I think that these sharks were super cool. They're one of the first sharks we believe to have done this weird thrashing motion to get prey items. And that's super awesome. Who doesn't love that? Also, what kind of face is that? What are you doing with how? Evolution, what is happening? You know what I mean? I think when you see, I want to see a shark where I look at it and I'm like, the fuck is going on? Like hammerhead vibes, right? But with the megalodon, you're just kind of like, It's a shark and
Big
it's
old
big.
shark. Yep.
Derpiness is selected for. What can we say?
It should be, absolutely. And in the Megalodon, it wasn't, so the Megalodon's boring.
Yep.
This is a constant theme that we're going to come back to. Yeah, so Edestus is really awesome. And I've got one last shark to talk about. I might be cheating a little with this one. It's technically a chimera, but shark adjacent, we're going to go with it because regardless of what it is, it's still cooler than the Megalodon. So, Helicoprion. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this thing before, but they call it the buzzsaw shark because its face looks like a buzzsaw. They got to be probably around 20, 25 feet long. That's crazy. That's larger than the great whites that we see. And yes, it had a whole ass buzzsaw on its face. That's insane.
What? How would you even use that?
Right.
What?
Yeah, so it was believed they ate soft-bodied things like squid. Sorry, Diana.
Oh my God.
I'm so sorry. But basically,
I heard the Megalodon is much cooler than this shark.
You can delete my number, thank you. Basically, the idea was it would open its mouth and chomp down and just basically slice a squid in half.
Really didn't
I'm so
euphemize
sorry.
that.
No, I really didn't think that one through with the squid expert on the panel here. So apologies. But so the theory with this tooth whirl is that basically its teeth are on a conveyor belt like any other shark, and they move forward and then they eventually fall out. Problem is, these guys, apparently they didn't fall out. They embedded back into the jaw, which sounds horrifically painful. I'm afraid of the dentist, but at least I'm not this dude. And they would just continuously make more and go back into the jaw, and then eventually you end up with this weird tooth whirl. And since sharks don't have bones, shocker there, teeth are pretty much the only thing that we have fossilized of these organisms, and so you have just this weird fossilized tooth whirl, and everyone was like, what on God's green earth is going on with this thing? There were so many different ideas of was it the top jaw and it spiraled like an elephant trunk, or was it on the end of its tail, or what's going on? And we eventually came to the consensus that it probably looked a lot like this. Another thing, these guys survived the Permian Triassic extinction event, and apparently the Megalodon couldn't even survive a cold winter.
Wow.
So there we go.
Wow.
This picture is so fascinating, but also is this the first hoarder of planet Earth? Just can't get rid of its teeth.
He refuses. It's like your mom when she's collecting all of your baby teeth. And you're just like, is there a reason for this? And apparently for the shark, maybe, but I don't know what it is yet. I don't think anyone does. It just, retained all of its teeth, and now we have it in the fossil record looking like an aggressive lollipop. So here we are. That's what I got for you on why there are many other much cooler sharks out there than the extinct Megalodon. They're all sadly extinct and dead. But if I could bring one of them back, it's not going to be the Megalodon.
So with our second marine biology-inspired story of the night, please welcome to the mic, Diana Lee, PhD.
All right, so I'm a squid expert. Here are some of my squids from grad school.
Oh.
They're very cute, and I had to get up at 5 a.m. a lot of days and learn how to hitch a truck and drive a boat and catch these and hope I would catch things. And another thing I did in grad school was drive a car. So this was my car, a Toyota 2013 RAV4. But my fact is going to be telling you why I believe the Toyota RAV4 is the cephalopod of cars. So I think first, if any of you live here and don't have a car, we need to review what cars are. So this is a car, and that was my car. And if you looked at it from the back, here's just another version of it. The 2013 RAV4, it looked like this. It was really cute. It had a round butt, very, very nice shape. But some of you aficionados in the audience might remember.
Aficionados?
Well, yes. Or any squidionados in the audience would know that the RAV4 didn't always look this way. Older models looked like this. There was a spare tire on the back. I see one nod, yes. I see you there. Excellent taste in cars, because turns out the RAV4 is the preferred car of squid biologists everywhere. Some of you may know Dr. Sarah McAnulty, a fellow Squid PhD friend of mine, and this is her car. She drives a RAV4 as well. So let's talk about cephalopods now. So I want some audience or fellow guest input. So we got some octopus, we got my squids, we got a ram's horn squid, we got the flapjack octopus, vampire squids in the middle, Humboldt squids on the side, we got a cuttlefish, we got the pearly nautilus. But like, what makes a cephalopod a cephalopod?
Tentacles.
Tentacles, good word. Not all of them had tentacles, though.
Arms.
Some have arms, yeah, okay. What else do we know about them?
Donut brains?
Boneless.
Donut brains.
Boneless, donut brains, these things really set apart the cephalopods. There's a siphuncle, is that someone say that? Yes, they have that. I think extinct ones have siphuncles, and the ones that exist still have siphons. What else do they do?
Do they all have beaks?
They have beaks. What else do they do?
Do they
Change
squid out?
colors.
They change color. What? They move. They swim. They ink. Wow, so many special features. What else do they do?
Much like the RAV4. They have cup holders, or?
If only they had cup holders. They have suction cups, though.
Whoa!
They do. Okay.
Damn.
I know, I got you. Turns out I actually don't care about any of these things about them. You know, not the fact that they move really fast. They can change their skin color really fast. They got these amazing donut brains. They have the biggest axons of the animal kingdom. I actually care about the fact that they're all related in ancient time. And they're actually all really kind of mundane. If you look at my magnificent squids, maybe you will see soon how they are just like these snails. They're all mollusks.
Oh.
They're related to clams. They're related to oysters.
Wait, what is that party snail on the right? I
Right?
want to make its
Right?
friend.
That one is called Calliostoma annulatum. It is a marine snail found off of California, and it's one of my favorites because it's so pretty. It literally looks like that in nature. And then we got some land snail I
Oh
found
my
on
god,
the
that
internet.
snail is definitely like,
Yeah.
Pride Month is coming, bitches.
This party snail popped some Molly or some shit. I don't know, but she's going crazy.
That land snail needs to moisturize its shell.
It's trying its best by secreting its goop, okay? So,
That's the mantra for the show.
yes, we're trying our best by secreting our goop. But I don't like Gwyneth Paltrow, so
No.
please, no. Okay, so why are squids and snails so similar? They have a really, really old common ancestor, and maybe my little diagrams here showing of a squid and a snail will help you understand that I like to think of cephalopods as snails that went, yes, and a little too much. So let's start. So we have the snails over there. It has its little head. It's like this, with its little eye stalks. And the head is attached to a big foot that they use to ooze and move. And the cephalopods are like, yes, we too have the head. And we too have this foot, but yes, and that idea, let's make the foot 8 to 90 arms or tentacles, like just flopping from our face. That's good. Okay, and the snails are like, well, we curl up our body, it's inside this shell, and all the organs are just kind of in this cone. And the squids are like, yeah, that's fine. We can keep that. Look, we have our cone shape. Our organs are there too. Snails are like, yeah, we also poop by our head. And the squids are like, yes, and we're gonna poop by our head too, out our little tube, and we're gonna squeeze our bodies to shoot seawater out, to move like little rockets. We love that, and we're gonna squeeze ink out, all out of this tube. I want to set the stage for you now. Now that we know that squids and snails have a common ancestor, let's meet the very first cephalopod. So I love that you talked about prehistoric things, Jaida. We're gonna go to the year 500 million BC, and
Wow, before Christ?
well, it's also
so
just
long
500
ago.
million years ago. But when you put BC, you're like, oh my god, that was a long time ago. There was no Jesus, God. So, okay, so this was the first cephalopod. Its name was Plectronoceraus, but I like to call it party hat snail because it's easier. And you're like, wow, look at that amazing little fossil. And this thing was like really revolutionary, but it was also really tiny. So it was like half the size of a chapstick. So this party hat snail had a shell, and shells are really heavy. If you're carrying like a big backpack around, wouldn't it be nice if you can just like be like the house from Up and tie your balloons with helium, right, to help you? So this animal is no longer like chained to the seafloor by its weight because it was able to introduce a bit of air into its shell so it could start floating. And it could also like squeeze its muscle and like kind of like just fart out a bit of a little bit of water to jet away. No one else was swimming at this time. We didn't really have fish yet. It'd be another 250 million years for dinosaurs to even appear. There was no one was doing things on land. There was no trees. It was all in the ocean, and that was okay. Because if you go to the American Museum of Natural History and take this picture like I did, you see that whoever made this knew what was going on. There's no one swimming in this ocean scene from that time. Everything was happening on the sea floor, and that's okay because you could just live a slow life in your little floating balloon shell, and you could just go eat things that weren't just by happenstance flying into your face. You know, you could go seek food, and that was a game changer for these animals, for the first cephalopod to start moving around. Now, if we fast forward like another 200 million years, we start to see stuff swimming around, and it's really exciting. So then, by now there's fishes with jaws, as we saw from Jaida, big teeth, and you have to either make a shell that's super hard and protective and heavy and just stay put, or, and there's like some really funny failed shapes that all went extinct, like the one that's like a big cone, and the one that's like a soft serve, like a little
I was gonna
swivel.
say, I'm here for the spiral.
I know. These are like real animals. Either you could be in a shell, or you could be fast. You could escape these predators and compete with them to eat their food before they get there. And to do that, you need to make your shell even smaller, even smaller, even smaller, even lighter, really tiny. Your muscle starts to get really big because then you can squeeze out all of this seawater and jet and eventually become one of the fastest invertebrates on the planet. And you start to look like the ones swimming up there. They kind of look like squids, but these are ancient squids, and they have shells that became so small that they went inside the body, and the muscle engulfed it. So if we fast forward to our cephalopods today, a lot of them look like that. They're squishy. So if you've ever like cleaned out a squid to cook in the kitchen, you pull out this plastic.
That was their shell.
That's the remnant of the shell. It's not
That's
microplastics
amazing.
gone crazy and sad, whatever. That's the remnant of this shell. Over hundreds of millions of years, they've evolved the shell to be so small and the muscle be so big that they could compete with fish and really proliferate in our seas.
I'm like blown away only because I grew up eating squid.
Yeah.
And my family would clean it at home, and I would run around with the thingy, being like, ha! Stabbing my aunts and uncles. And that's what it was. It was its home.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Diana, I can't help but notice when Jaida talked about eating squid, you were much more offended than when Kyle said.
This is true.
I was stabbing people with other things.
yeah,
So,
okay.
like, I feel like,
The revenge of the squid
Yeah.
through Kyle, Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
also just think that it's interesting that they used to live inside their homes, but now their homes live inside of them.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
What a great observation.
Yes.
Home
I
is where
like
the
that.
squid is.
Yes, actually. Yes, my home is actually full of squid. So you can put the squid back in the home, but it's my home. Okay, so if you're looking at this assortment of cephalopods, you're like, okay, Dr. Lee, I noticed there's no nautilus here. You showed us a picture of nautilus. They have shells outside. And to that I say, possibly the most sexy of all phrases in your podcast recording. Let us consult the complete phylogeny.
Oh.
Here's the complete phylogeny.
Wow.
So you see, nautilus, they are here, but they followed a different path. They were the ones who were like, okay, we can't go that fast. We're just gonna be slow, but we're gonna be in our shells and we're gonna live really deep. And why fix, what if it's not broke, don't fix it or whatever? They're like OG cephalopods. They haven't changed their shape for like hundreds of millions of years. While the other ones decided a different strategy. They had to make their shell small. They internalized it over time, over evolution. Okay, so now that you're like entranced by cephalopods, as I would be too, let's go back to the RAV4. So don't forget that the RAV4 now looks like mine on the top, but used to have this external spare tire.
Wow.
The spare tire has been internalized over time. Somebody wrote some article
You
about
simply
it.
got to give it up.
Well, actually, the story gets a lot better, right? It's going to get better. So someone wrote this article that's like, the spare tire, moves from the lift gate and now is actually like, if you opened my trunk, it would be underneath the floor of the trunk, so this car can stay nimble. Wow, I think this person's a cephalopod fan. So I want to end by going back to my friend Sarah's car. I love looking at her car when I visit her, and it really brings me joy to see the Squidmobile. But now that you are all in the VIP status of our Squid Squad, you can know the Squid Squad's deepest, darkest secret, where we actually realize that her car is, the Nautomobile.
Amazing. With our third and final marine biology story of the night, please join me in welcoming Kyle Marian.
Ow, ow! So I am pinch hitting for Rob, and I am actually a first responder in that sense. So clap for me, thank you. But I will say let's lower our expectations a little bit, because I'm not a marine biologist, and the closest I've gotten to marine science is a swimming pool. So we'll lighten it up. But I will make the case that marine biology and human evolution might have some things in common. Ooh, yeah. So this is a bunch of pictures of baby me.
Are those vertebrates?
That is,
There
yes.
are bones?
Okay, but like, hold
Boo.
up. Like I said, this is all about what we have in common, okay? Not about
Not
haterade,
bones.
okay? We'll get there, okay? So I used to be a practicing physical anthropologist, thank you. This is proof that I did field work, and if you go to the American Museum of Natural History, I am a tiny little hologram in the Hall of Human Origins. Yeah, so, look for me there. No big deal. I have left academia, but I will always have... I will always have useless superpowers, like, I am exceptional at cleaning dirt off of dirt. Yes. And I can write legibly on fossils the size of a grain of rice. Yes, thank you.
I can't even write legibly on paper.
It never came in handy, truly, once I left academia, but maybe someday. I know in my fieldwork photos, you can't really tell I'm a scientist because I'm not pointing at a thing. Why are scientists' stock photos always pointing at things? I don't know. But like I said earlier, I am from the Philippines. I'm a Filipino immigrant. So just so you know, a little preface, we'll get to the marine-ish science soon, but just so you know how hard I fought for my career path in science, I had to tell my parents, my aunties, and my grandparents that I was going to college to chase the American dream. Yes, thank you. To become a white man. Yes. Indiana Jones. I know. Perfect for tonight.
This
really.
is it.
This is it. But I was inspired by Indiana Jones, who was bad at his job, but could F off whenever he liked, because he has tenure. So. Even in the middle of exam season, just to go to developing nations and take things from like indigenous folks, but it's not stealing because it belongs in a museum. What? So I just wanted to say, like, my biggest takeaway though from that academic scientific career was that researchers, scientists, and academics were also human, and we love to get petty as fuck, all right? And there's nothing that I love more than academics getting all yo mama on each other's research. Yes. Yo, research so whack it failed to verify the mother flippin' hypothesis. Citation. John Oliver on the 1998 The Daily Show when he was talking to primatologist Todd Disotell. But yeah, that like quote to me encapsulated what it's like to be a scientist, to be an academic, which brings me to my first point. Things that marine bio and human evolution have in common. Number one, sometimes bad scientific hypotheses just won't die. So just, a little backpedal here. The core question we ask in human evolution is always like, what made us who we are today? Things like, how'd we end up with big fat brains? Walking bipedally on 2 feet, moving like Jagger. And, as a society, how did we end up with a penchant for fishing pictures on Tinder profiles? Why is that a thing?
I may or may not be guilty of that, but it's different because it's a shark. And it was research. Thank you.
Exactly. And sure, physical anthropology and human evolution always get lumped into social sciences because it does include a bit of imagination to piece fossil puzzles together. But sometimes imaginations go too dang far. Case in point, the aquatic ape hypothesis for human evolution. What is it? Okay. This is the closest I'm going to get to marine bio. Take it. In 1960s, an English marine biologist by the name of Alistair Hardy proposed a hypothesis that our ancestors must have had an aquatic phase, living in and living by bodies of water in order to explain why humans evolved to be hairless, to have a fatty layer under our skin, have our hairs directed away from our faces, have long legs that let us wade and swim in the water, and on rare occasions, have webbed fingers and toes. Fascinating. Also, one of the reasons why he claimed humans must have had this aquatic phase in our evolutionary history is that babies can float if you throw them in water.
Imagine getting throwing babies in water approved by an IRB.
Yeah, exactly. Sir, what were you doing with those babies? Like, what the hell?
How many babies will you be needing for your study? A lot.
A lot.
We gotta achieve statistical significance.
Okay, first of all, of course, it'd be some old white cis man in a field that's not his area of research. He's a marine biologist talking about human evolution, and he's all like, y'all are wrong, I got this one. Second of all, when the hypothesis was proposed in the 60s, we didn't have a lot of fossils to go by. And more importantly, Alistair Hardy didn't base any of his ideas on relevant evidence, okay? No fossils were used in the making of this mother flippin' hypothesis, okay? So why is it a huge nope for paleoanthropologists? Well, since the 1960s, our human fossil record has filled in a lot of puzzle pieces to help us better understand our human evolutionary tree. It also demonstrated just how long it took for different features of our bodies to evolve, like our leggy legs didn't evolve at the same time as our big brains, right? Like, for example, like our fat under our skin has been there for a very long time, and it's not just a human thing. But we've also gotten to better at working with other disciplines together to paint a clearer picture of environments that our human ancestors in Africa lived and evolved in. And it was, you know, actually a lot more forested woodlands and bushlands that don't exist as much today. So, you know, better evidence, better research, give it up already. Unfortunately, sometimes the idea just won't fucking die. In 2016, David Attenborough had this entire series made about the waterside ape. And if you can't really see the quote, and I will read it, Sir David Attenborough considers whether new evidence will help a once widely ridiculed theory of human origins move towards mainstream acceptance. To which I say, sir, no. No. So I'm just gonna play a little clip of like how far he has supported this idea. Kurt, can we play that?
Using their long chimp-like arms, these early creatures were still climbing trees in order to find their food. But as the forests diminished, so they had to travel farther from one tree to the next, and that involved crossing open spaces covered with grass or even water. And to do that, they traveled upright on 2 feet, as I'm doing.
To prove his point, he wades in water.
Wow.
Sir, no! No! Stop it now!
You know what I have to say to that? Wade, don't tell me more about the aquatic ape hypothesis.
Yes.
I support that. That was a good pun, yeah.
I just think it's worth stating that it's not going to be the new evidence that's making this mainstream. It's the fact that David Attenborough's talking about it on a public platform. But, you know, go off, I guess.
Exactly. And unfortunately, you know, some people still think this is the case, even though the fossil record and DNA does not support it. So that's one sad thing and one thing we have in common with marine biologists. But to turn to something slightly more fun and really quickly, there is one more fun piece of evidence that we have in common between marine bio and human evolution, and it's that, some of our study species do enjoy hitching a ride, okay? And I give you this hypothesis to answer how monkeys got to South America, all right? So, this is, I think this is like one of those like hypotheses where I'm just like, really? Are you sure? But the idea is that we know from fossil and DNA records that monkeys originated in Africa, okay? Primatologists know that the first group of monkeys reached South America 40 million years ago, and back then, Africa and South America were closer than they are today, right? The distance between the two continents were like 930 to 1,300 miles apart. Wow. Today, it's 1,770 miles apart, so like significantly closer. And the hypothesis was that 36 million years ago, old world monkeys found themselves adrift in the Atlantic Ocean. Marine, this is the closest I'm getting to marine bio. They had been blown off to sea after an intense storm in the African coast. They rafted on floating vegetation and found themselves in South America. So that is the hypothesis. How do they know? Because of fossils. So in 2020, paleontologists found fossil teeth in Peru from an extinct family of primates that was once thought to only live in Africa. So super neat. It had a distinct shape, and it was found with rocks that were 32 million years old. So there was this like kind of connection between the two. And where did the rafting idea come from? Well, there's lots of precedent in animals rafting the ocean. So like tenrecs and lemurs arrived in Madagascar from mainland Africa that way. Small lizards island hop the Bahamas as often as my Filipino aunties. What? And at that time, we just don't actually have fossil record around the rest of the world. It's just like really located in Africa, and then suddenly South America. So, really fascinating. And I realized, that like Americans might not know what a floating patch of vegetation could look like after a major storm. As a Filipino immigrant, I have lived at the forefront of climate change, floods, landslides, typhoons converging on each other into megastorms. Yeah, in the Philippines, it's so common, we have a word for it. Tuesday. Yeah. So I actually grew up watching giant patches of veg on overflowing rivers after storms. And so for the audience members who have not yet experienced that, this is what mats of vegetation after devastating storms can look like. This is filmed in Panama. There was just a major storm, and the river is overflowing, and that is not the other side of the river. That is a giant patch of vegetation, which in New York City would cost a few $1 million to live in. So, it is very feasible that something like this could have allowed monkeys to traverse the Atlantic Ocean and then colonize South America. So
it's waterfront.
There you go.
That's nice.
Yeah, waterfront views. There you go. So sometimes, animals just get swept away and they thrive, okay? Thank you.
The time has come to find out how we all did at the trivia. So I'm going to ask these questions, and then I'm going to throw it over to our guests who are going to tell us what they got, and you're going to find out whether you got the same thing, and then you're going to find out whether or not you were wrong. Or correct. It's always possible. But no, genuinely, how was it? Oh, yeah, great, I'm getting more. This is perfect. I'll grade this on stage. Thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, thumbs up, thumbs down. Just want to know how you feel about it. Thumbs up.
A lot of thumbs up.
Oh, I got a thumbs down, too.
Down.
I had 2 thumbs up and 1 thumbs down on the same team. Great. Glad to see that. Even if you didn't get them all right, I'm really proud of you all for trying. What was it that we said earlier about the goop? Was it the goop? What was the thing we?
Oh, I don't remember.
Trying.
Like, do your best and release your goop.
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
I don't know.
Here at Fax Machine, we all do our best and secrete our goop. On 3. No. So, let's see. Here we go. Okay. So, question 1. Roughly what percentage of animal species are parasites? What did y'all put?
Too many.
So we thought that 10% was lowballing it, but 80% is too horrifying. So we went with D, 40%.
That is absolutely correct. That stunned me to learn. There are a lot of animal species or parasites.
I can't handle parasites, and this was frightening to figure out.
Why would you be able to handle parasites?
I meant mentally.
Oh, okay. I was like, damn.
I was gonna guess 10, and they were like, "That's too low," and I was like, "You're right, but I'm not ready to accept that." So,
well, at least it was an 80.
I certainly would have thought in like the single digits. I don't know why. I just thought like a few parasites parasitized a lot of things, but they're all like very specialized to their hosts.
Who else's butthole's just clenched so tight right now? Yes, thank you.
Remember that feeling. This is a marine parasites quiz. Question 2, the isopod Cymathoa exigua is the only parasite known to have functionally replaced one of its host animal's organs. What organ does it replace?
This is one of my favorite isopod facts. And so it crawls into the mouth of a fish and replaces its tongue.
That is absolutely right.
Horrifying.
Absolutely right.
Horrifying. Am I right? Terrifying.
Also so cool.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of people cheering about the fact that this thing replaces an animal's tongue, and they're like, this is exactly what I wanted. That's what no one wants.
Well, it is pretty interesting because so basically what happens is, as Diana said, they get into like fish mouths and they sever with their like claws the arteries that supply blood to the tongue, and then the tongue atrophies away, and with their other claws they hook into like the root of the tongue that was left, and then they essentially take its place, and it looks like this. Those are.
Why is it so cute?
This is the only
it's
cute
cute.
picture of them.
It's kind of cute.
It's kind of cute.
Wait, can we
Y'all
do
are crazy.
Can we do a giant isopod sidebar real quick?
Please.
Because our group filling this out and talked about it. But like, have y'all seen the phone case? But it's a giant isopod. Just hold it up to your face.
No.
It's very good.
It's
you
so-
should
that's
Google
cute.
it. Yeah, that's
That's
kinda
not cute, but that's
It's
cute.
fun. It's Nemo with like a little friend in his mouth.
Yeah, the little friend is
giving-
like,
What is that one? I'm aging myself. I'm a child. The one movie with the like, is it the alien that's got the other
Yeah, you
one
got
in its
it.
mouth? Is it Alien?
It's
Alien.
Oh, great!
No,
I
but
was right. Amazing.
But
Cool.
that one's based on
I
the
was
moray
definitely
eel.
thinking like Lilo and Stitch. I wasn't sure. Yes. Okay. So basically, what happens, and what's quite interesting is apparently this doesn't prove to be like a massive detriment to the fish's like success. Like there's some studies say that there's no discernible impact on their viability, and some say they're only like minorly underweight, but still generally okay.
Well, have they asked them?
They're just way.
They don't have a tongue anymore. I don't think they can answer.
They can't answer. Oh yeah.
The isopod will speak for them, and they say they're fine. Anyway, it's pretty cool and pretty weird. So, question 3: the longest parasite in the world is an Arctic tapeworm that lives inside what species?
So we went with polar bear because we're like, this needs to be a meat eater, right? And polar bears are pretty damn big, so we went with polar bear.
That is incorrect. The answer is the sperm whale. Now,
guys, you shouldn't be cheering for this giant ass tapeworm and a sperm whale. Wow.
You're gonna tell us how long it is.
Okay.
how long do you think this tapeworm was?
20 feet.
20 feet. Wow.
No, that's too short. That's too short.
That's too short.
That's almost. I mean, that's probably exactly right. I think what I had is up to 130 feet. I'm sure that was what it really is. 125 to 130, let's say, feet long in the intestines of toothed whales like the sperm whale. They are not found in blue whales.
Girl, didn't I say we
That
should
was
put narwhal?
the only whale.
Yeah, we
you,
did.
Okay, you act like narwhal would have been right though. It's
Well,
the
you said it was a toothed whale.
No, well, toothed whales.
All
But
right.
here's the thing, and it's not. I mean, I don't know if necessarily the tooth is the aspect. It's just that the tapeworm only occurs in the Arctic, and blue whales typically aren't in the Arctic. So that's the reason, according to what I read. So I'm sorry. So basically, if you said whale, I gave it to you. If you said sperm whale, I super gave it to you. And if you said blue whale, I'm so sorry, but I had to be a stickler on that one because it just doesn't happen. So question 4. Oh yeah, sperm whale. Question 4, another arthropod, I think, yeah. No, different. A species of what type of arthropod, which is often seen on whales and the hulls of ships, parasitizes crabs by eating their gonads and chemically alters the crab's behavior so it treats the parasite as if it were their egg sac. Basically, so it gives it all its nutrients and pushes oxygenated water past it, etc. What did y'all put?
We went with barnacles.
That is absolutely correct. So, rhizocephalans are a parasitic barnacle species that consume the crab's gonads and then extend these long, thin processes throughout the crab's body that somehow, it's a little unclear to me, I couldn't find a firm answer for this, that are able to control its behavior either by interacting with the nervous system or somehow interacting with the gut or whatever, and also given its place right where the sort of gonad was, so it's an area that the crab has a vested interest in, keeping safe and fed. And basically, it's kind of unknown, but it's often on the internet written about as the mind-controlled barnacle, and that is a very scary thought. And just my only other fact about barnacles is that for a little while in the Middle Ages, I think people in England thought that barnacles were baby geese. And they thought they hatched from barnacles.
Wait, you don't want to know the other fact about barnacles?
Tell me another one. I would love to have a second or third now.
No. They have the biggest penis-to-body ratio of any animal.
Wow.
Yes. I love this table in the middle who's like, that's what's up. Yeah.
They also love the RAV4.
I know.
RAV4, let's go. RAV4 has the largest penis to chastise.
Very upsetting. Don't say that.
So barnacles and RAV4s are just big dick energy, is what I'm getting from this.
Not the Meg, though.
The littlest of dick energies.
Okay. All right, so question 5. Hematodinium is a parasite of crustaceans and causes bitter crab disease, which makes crab meat taste like what medicine, also known as acetylsalicylic acid? What did y'all put?
Well, none of us are that type of doctor, so we put comedy because laughter is the best medicine.
Kind of makes me wish Rob was here somewhere. I mean, in the back in a hazmat suit or something, but he might be better now.
Though I know this answer is wrong, I know this answer is right.
I don't know, guys. Should I give him the point? It means you won't get the point. Oh no. The answer was aspirin. Many very similar medicines that are not technically acetylsalicylic acid and are not the same taste as aspirin, which is the main point we're mentioned. I'm so sorry to throw you off like that.
So ibuprofen would have been wrong.
Ibuprofen would have been wrong. Yeah.
All right, never mind then.
I'm sorry, just you can't just be like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Generally, it has to be specifically acetylsalicylic acid.
You're that hard-ass teacher,
I know.
okay?
Question 6. True or false, the parasitic freshwater catfish known as the candiru is attracted to human urine and will swim up the urethra of a submerged peeing human and extend its spines to remain in place.
Scrumptious.
It is true that it is a legend. It is not true.
Wow.
It is extremely commonly recounted as being true and has been for hundreds of years. I mean, especially in the 1800s.
But do you think David Attenborough talked about it and that's why?
Yeah, go. Yeah, we have a question.
See, I also referenced Grey's Anatomy. And I'm like, Shonda, how did you do us dirty? Wow.
And you've never been betrayed by Shonda Rhimes before?
I mean.
Think about that show.
I'd forgotten because Bridgerton exists. Okay, I'm sorry.
How many of your favorite characters have died in random accidents?
Look, she kills off white people. I'm okay with that. All right. Okay, thank you.
So let me tell you what the deal is with this story.
This makes me irrationally upset.
It is of course a real fish. It's a real fish, and it is not, as I learned when Jaida corrected me backstage, it's not a marine parasite because it's in a river.
This is aquatic.
Yes, it's an aquatic parasite. I'm so sorry. I resign. So this is quite interesting, though. So the most common version of this story is that when somebody pees into the water where the candiru lives. And by the way, I neglected to put this part in because it's the most just ridiculous part, but it is a very common part of the story. I didn't want you to just immediately say false because you're like, that's stupid, because it is. It's that if you're standing on the bank of the river and pee into it, the fish will swim up the stream of urine into your urethra. Now, there are many reasons why this is just not possible. Fluid dynamics aside, that's not even the main reason. Among them are, there's just no way, unless they're very, very small, like the larva, basically, they're too big to fit in your urethra unless they have leverage to get in, which they're not going to be able to get flying through the air at your dick. And so anyway, basically, also the other thing about this is in 2001, scientists decided to test whether or not they had any sort of urine taxis, basically. Do they preferentially move towards urine or human urine of any kind? They simply have no preference whatsoever. They didn't seem to notice.
I think that study should have been a bunch of men being like, let's risk it all.
Risk it all. The consequences would be so high.
For science.
But let me tell you. So this is there was at least one instance that was claimed that a doctor in Brazil claimed to have removed one of these from the urethra, and claimed to have like video of the surgery. Sort of independent analysts went down there, and the list on Wikipedia of the bullet points of why they found that not credible.
Incredible!
They did not believe it for a number of reasons. Was like 15 bullet points long. Among them, for example, was the surgeon said that he cut off the spines in order to remove it successfully. In the video, the spines were still attached to this, so they think it was essentially a hoax. There are many, many other reasons. And this marine biologist, Stephen Spott, said that even if a person were to urinate while submerged in a stream where candiru live, the odds that person was attacked by candiru are about the same as being struck by lightning while simultaneously being eaten by a shark. And I know we're taking way too long on this question, but I have to tell you, it was fascinating. The best example of this legend basically being propagated by like 19th century scientists who were desperate for it to be real. As a doctor in Brazil examined a man and several boys whose penises had been amputated and wrote that this was a remedy performed because of candiru parasitism. However, it was noted that, he was merely speculating as he did not speak his patient's language, and also candiru do not live in that part of Brazil. Just insane. So, question 7. Which
We're moving on from that. Wow, I feel like we need a moment of silence.
Yeah, we can take a break. This will be a nice, calm one where you don't have to read anything gross. Which one of the below is the name of a real parasite? Is it A, the eye maggot of Sprat, B, Meissner's corpuscle, C, Rolando's gelatinous substance, D, the cursive vampire worm, or E, all of the above?
I was so confused.
Boo.
Thank you.
So upset.
I looked at that and I was like, we should probably read that out loud, right?
Wait a minute. I read this and then I read it out loud to myself and I was like, Olive Theobald.
Yeah.
Right.
I just thought that I was illiterate and I was like, I don't understand what's happening.
For those of you who are listening to the podcast and are very confused, I spelled it funky. It's olive like the olive, and the above is THIOBOV. Now that they're all caught up. Some of these I made up. Some of them are real, but they're not parasites. One of them is a real parasite, and that is A, the eye maggot of Sprat.
No! We guessed the cursive vampire worm.
Yeah, I made that one up.
And I
just put words together. I thought a long thin worm could like write a little word out.
That's
and then
exactly
I made it a vampire.
what I was thinking. I think in my head I was imagining like a worm with little vampire teeth, and it spells out with its long body in cursive, "I want to suck your blood." That's what I imagined. I was like, it's not real, but that's what I want it to be.
Amazing. I love that. Honest. I wish I could give you the point. I mean, I could, right? I could give them the point. I mean, you wouldn't get it. Oh,
you guys are so unenthusiastic, such fair weather friends.
I also happen to know that not very many of them got it either, so.
I'm actually very curious to see if you guys did better than us, because as marine scientists, we did truly terrible.
I was no help. I mean,
well, apparently neither were we. So.
No.
All right, so this is I will tell you the Meissner's corpuscle and Rolando's gelatinous substance. I'm a neuroscientist. These are just obscure anatomical neuroscience. But Meissner's corpuscle is something in the skin. I think it's one of the ones that like helps you sense like fine vibration. And Rolando's gelatinous substance is just sort of a description of how like goopy your spinal cord looks, essentially. It's just
Who's Rolando?
I don't know, but he's gelatinous.
I deadass almost said the soccer player, and I was like, no, that's Ronaldo.
Ronaldo's gelatinous substance. Oh boy.
That would sell for a lot.
That would be a great team name, for sure. All right, so final question. Question 8. In what unusual location on a sea cucumber would you find a pearlfish?
Oh, we have an answer.
We do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, you did.
Ready?
We're going to say it all at once.
1, 2, 3.
Asshole!
That is absolutely correct.
I tried to harmonize a little bit.
You can take a shot at it. Go for it. All right, on 3.
1, 2, 3. Asshole.
You didn't tell us what
You
note
probably have to
to start on.
establish, yeah.
You gotta hold the note.
No, hold on. Everybody just wait. You start from one end. We're going to harmonize.
Are we doing this?
No,
Yeah, go for it.
I'm doing it. All right. Am I starting?
Yeah.
Yeah, start.
Asshole.
Asshole.
Oh, my God. I'm stunned at how well that went. My ribs just cramped from laughing.
Did your butt clench?
All my intercostals. Genuinely, I am having a problem. Okay. In what? Pearlfish. Ow, fuck. All right.
Hands above your head makes it
Really,
always better.
It actually hurts. Pearlfish like to swim up sea cucumber butts and make themselves at home. The pearlfish was named when a dead pearlfish was discovered inside an oyster shell, actually. So they actually do get inside other organisms. And it had been caught up in the oyster's sort of mother of pearl lining as it set. So it was like actually quite beautiful in a way. So when pearlfish stumble across a sea cucumber, what they do is they locate its
Asshole!
Asshole.
Yes, good. Excellent. They locate its asshole or cloaca, which is less fun. It's still fun to say, but by following essentially what they do is they find the current of water that is coming in and out of the sea cucumber as it like takes in water. When it locates the anus or cloaca of the sea cucumber, the pearlfish will apparently tap on it, just like knocking on the door. Before penetrating, this is a quote now, penetrating the sea cucumber using one of 2 methods. It's always good to have a backup. Either it will go head first, propelling itself inside by violently thrusting its tail from side to side, or tail first, coordinating its inward slide with the sea cucumber's next breath. So pearlfish typically live alone inside sea cucumbers, but sometimes a pair of them together will actually take up residence in the same sea cucumber host. And in one very special case, in 1977, discovered by biologist Victor Benno Meyer-Rochow from Jacobs University in Germany, saw no less than 15 pearlfish living inside a single sea cucumber.
I hope that sea cucumber was large.
I was about to say, too.
Well, yeah, I mean, it looked like that.
I fully fake vomited into the microphone.
It's Jabba the Hutt.
You want to see another one? Here's a good one.
No, we got closer.
It's just
The
sticking out, it's
isopod
looking at you.
tongue looks better now.
Yeah.
In comparison.
They're equally terrible.
I agree, but so there's other interesting things about this, and again, I know I'm taking too long on this, but come on, look at it. It's so fucking cute. Basically, there's some really interesting, like, sea cucumbers have defenses. Like, they can, like, eviscerate, basically. They shoot out their, like, intestines and, like, scare off predators or, like, you know, stick on them or whatever. They've also got these like toxic like little tubules that they can shoot out and that like sticks up predators or like otherwise incapacitates them. And the pearlfish, for some reason that is not well understood, does not trigger either of these like defense mechanisms, and it's not well understood. And I'm just gonna speculate and say that it could be something for the rhizocephalans. Like I think it would be super interesting to find out that pearlfish like secrete some sort of like hormone or like neuroactive compound into like a sea cucumber that makes it be like, oh no, this is good. I like this.
How PG is this podcast? Because I'm like, maybe they like anal, you know?
Asshole.
I'm really glad I told my high school intern to not watch this.
Well, yeah. Okay, so that is the trivia. I will now reveal. So I guess you know your score already. You got 4 out of 8. It's pretty good.
F-skit degrees.
It's fine. It's on a curve, certainly in this room. Just playing. So I will say that we've talked a little bit about Dr. Sarah McInerney tonight, who drives the Squidmobile, friend of the show, has been on Fax Machine before. And from her wonderful event, Skype a Scientist Trivia, which is every Thursday, but it's a wonderful sort of like online science trivia. It happens every week, and it's great. And she started a tradition that I stole, which is there's no team that comes in last place at Fax Machine Trivia. There's only the team that learned the most. And that team tonight, please give a round of applause to Rolando's Gelatinous Substance with 0 points. Thank y'all so much. I hope you all learned a lot. But there was, let's see, there was a four-way tie for second place, like with 5 points. So actually, yeah, y'all would have been tied for third in the room.
Oh, God.
And tied for second place, we have the non-marine biologists, the Squid Game.
Hey.
Oh, Miss, as in Miss. We're gonna talk about Miss in a second. Grinding Nemo. Genuinely the first time I saw their team name. I scored it without even looking.
That was amazing.
But the winners with 6 tonight are the Fantastic Four. Great job to the Fantastic Four, and for everyone else who participated in trivia tonight. You did great. I'm proud of every single one of you.
Aww.
Yeah.
And everybody, please give it up for our trivia writer.
Oh, thank you.
Yay!
You won't be clapping when this shows up in your nightmares. So that's about all we have for you tonight. Thank you to all of you for coming out. If you enjoyed this show, I hope you will listen to, rate, and subscribe Fax Machine, which is also a podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. at Fax Machine Pod. And you can find out more about what we're doing, as well as more future shows at Caveat. Jaida, is there anything you'd like to plug?
Of course, always. So this is my, yes, thank you, Miss. This is a wonderful nonprofit that I and 3 other Black women in the field of shark science have co-founded in June of 2020. So June 19th coming up is our 2nd anniversary. We're very excited about it. This is Minorities in Shark Sciences, aka MISS, and we're an organization that is dedicated to supporting women of color and gender minorities of color in the field of shark science, because as most other fields have been, it was very white male dominated, and we didn't really see ourselves represented. So we wanted to create a nice community and lots of opportunities for people that look like us to be able to further their career and live their dreams to be shark scientists. So here's some of our program participants, and then these 2 right here are us 4 co-founders being a bunch of goofballs. So yeah.
Great. So if people want to, who are on the live stream or in the room, if they want to donate to Miss, where can they go?
You can go to the link in our bio on Instagram or Twitter. You can also go to our website, which is misselasmo.org. And you can follow us again on Twitter and Instagram, miss_Elasmo, and check out all the stuff that we're doing. We're, celebrating our members, providing opportunities. If you guys ever have anything that you want to help contribute to Miss, whether it be an opportunity that you think might be interesting, or you want to, donate some goods and services, always feel free to go to our website, send us an email, a DM, whatever, and we'd be happy to have you guys help us out and spread our mission.
Hell yeah. Please go do that.
Yeah.
Especially those of you in the live stream right now who are already on your computer, you just open a new tab. Keep listening to us. Donate to Miss. Perfect. So if you want to learn more about the awesome stuff that our guests are doing, you can follow Jaida at SoFishDication on Twitter and TikTok, and SoFishDication _ on Instagram. You can follow Diana at DianaToothis on Twitter, and you can follow Kyle on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Kyle Marian. And if you feel like it, you can always follow me at Arcs and Sciences, M at _EM Costa, and Rob at SweaterVestSCI. And, this is a reasonable place to end the show, and I probably should. But I just can't stop thinking that I didn't do that poor sea cucumber's story justice. but I think I have an idea. But I'm actually going to need help from an expert. Please welcome to the stage actual parasitologist, Krishy Notzel, PhD. Already, I'm just pre-regretting this. Yep, let's do it. There I was, minding my damn business on the ocean floor, when a strange sensation caught attention at my back door. So I whipped around to find out what had happened. Would you believe that this fish was down there laughing? And something in her eyes just made me think, is this love? It was not. Just a goddamn fish inside me. A parasite who's trying to ruin my life. A fish called Pearl inside me. Why do I still want her to be my wife? Even after she ate my insides. I wish this was a metaphor, but she really is a carnivore. What can I do? A scientific horror story's coming true. I heard Pearl says she's staying and there's nothing I can do or say. But what she doesn't know is that I wouldn't have it any other way. Things will be fine as long as we're together. As long as it's just me and her forever. And feeling deep inside just makes me think this is love. I mean, I think so, but oh God, is that another pearlfish? Now I got two fish inside me. The parasites are trying to ruin my life. Pearl's just a friend inside me. Why don't you stab my heart with a knife? Admittedly, a poor choice of words. Tried to use a metaphor. Forgot that she's a carnivore. What can I do? A scientific horror story's coming true. I don't think she's a parasite. She's just trying to make it through the night. I know there's other fish in the sea, but there is only one for me. Or maybe 2 or 23, it's not up to me. I admit things look like they've gotten out of hand. I don't expect someone with all their organs to understand. This is fine, was a mutual decision. Unless you can perform a medical excision. And something deep inside just makes me think whatever the fuck it wants me to think. Oh God, I love these fish inside me. I really think it's great they're in my ass. Pearl's friends do not frighten me. It's like I'm being eaten up inside. Admittedly, a poor choice of words. Didn't mean to use a simile, but they really are consuming me. What can I do? Scientific horror stories coming true. A scientific horror stories coming true. A scientific horror stories coming true. Thank you all so much. Please keep it going for Dr. Krishy Notzel, PhD. Thank you so much to Caveat. And of course, most of all to our guests, Jaida Elcock, Dr. Diana Lee, PhD, and Kyle Marian. Have a good night. We will see you at the bar.